Hello there, Richard Utting from SharpshootingUK here. What I'm going to do today is to show you and review the excellent 21st century shooting neck turning lathe. Plus show you in detail how you set it up, use it, and the results that you get at the end of the day from a totally beginner's point of view. I found that the system is very easy to use, and I'm doubly impressed by that. So I'm going to take you through it step by step, and along the way you'll see how well it all works. What we're going to be doing today is 6.5 by 47 Lapua. Okay. These necks are pretty uniform. It's good brass, the hell of a good case, good and strong, but pretty good. There comes a point where it's not good enough, you know. I'll measure it on the micrometer now and you'll see there's half a thou or so of variation in it. The reason I started neck turning quite late in my shooting career, as it were, is this: donuts. Now there's not a problem with this case, but this hole, the neck, is supposed to be a tube. Gradually it becomes a cone because brass flows up into this joint here and you get a constriction, and sometimes it's so minor you can barely tell, but it's an inconsistency and it needs to go. The reason I preferred the 21st century system over other systems is the ability to choose exactly the right cutter that will kiss the shoulder at just the right angle. So you come up the neck and just touch the shoulder, but without cutting into it. You cut along it at the right angle, and that gives the brass room to flow into that gap that you've created from the inside to the outside, and solves your donut problems, which if you are, for example, running 6.5284 Lapua brass and turning it into 7mm straight 284 brass, you end up with donuts before long. I've just done it, hit the problem, need to solve it. Neck turning is the answer, and neck turning with a specific shoulder angle is for me the most sensible option, so I will demonstrate exactly how that works. Now, on that note, 6.5 by 47mm Lapua uses a 30-degree cutter, 30-degree shoulder, so it needs a 30-degree cutter. So if you look in here at our lathe, that is a 35mm cutter that I've been using with another caliber. So we're going to, as part of the process for setting up for 6.5 by 47, we're going to take that out and we're going to replace it with a 30mm cutter. .22 caliber, 6.5mm expander mandrel. The mandrels go in the expander, and the arbors go in the cutter. Okay, so that will make sense later. Let me expand the cases first. So we've got our case here. It's going to, inside the press, inside the neck turner, it's going to run onto that just the right tightness. The cutter comes down and turns it. It has to be exactly tight. Now that's too sloppy. That's too easy. So what we do is we run this through the reloading press so it's tight, and then we run it through the expander mandrel here. Now these are exactly matched to the cutter, so you need to get these from the cutting manufacturer, the neck turning manufacturer. So that will expand that till it's just right, and then we run this inside the neck turning tool and it's just right. As you can see, both of them are too loose, so I need to run this brass through the press to tighten it up. Okay, so I'll go and do that now. Next is to expand the brass to just the right size with the appropriate expander. Expander 2.6. That's what you need. This is the expander die from 21st century. Very versatile, you just need one for all of your calibers. You pop the relevant insert into it, put the lid on, be that 2.2 or 7mm or whatever. Then you expand your brass. This is a hand press, obviously you can use a normal press, doesn't matter what type of press you use. So in goes your brass, nips in, nips out, expanded, just so it fits the 21st century lathe just right. Okay, so we run through the process till they've all been expanded. Here's my micrometer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what the brass is currently doing. Okay, so that's 14th thou there. I'm going to measure these, and you'll see there's a little bit of variation, and then we're going to decide where we want to be. $13 and a bit, 13 and a half, 13 and a bit, under 13, 12 and a half, 12 and a half, just under 13, 12 and a half, just under 13, 12 and a half, 12 and a half, 12 and a half, just under 13. Okay, try another one. Twelve and a half, just under 13, just under 13, 12 and 3/4, only just over 12 that. Just over 12, just over 12, 12 and a half, 13. So you can see there's a little bit of variation in there. It's good brass, but there's still a bit there. Your necks aren't quite round. They're in some way not quite uniform. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim the carbon off. Just little, skimming. That'll take the necks down to 12, something like that. And then away we go. If you have a specific cut in mind for your neck of your rifle and your use of bushing dies in bushing dies, then that's fine. You can specify what you want. What I'm looking to do is just basically to uniform this brass and to just cut into that junction there a little bit to remove any brass flow there. See how soft that edge has become over the sort of 10 firings or so that I've put this brass through. And of course, the stronger and better quality the brass, the more that you're actually going to face the issues that come up after a long time, like brass flow. So one way or another, you're going to end up turning. So there we go. We'll cut into that, standardise it at about 12 and a bit, and we should be super uniform from then on. We'll see later. Okay, so we need to change the cutter to a 30-degree cutter. We need to change this turning arbor from 20 cal to 6.5mm. We need to change the driver from small case to large case. And then we need to set things up for depth and start thinking about making our first cut. Okay, so we take the tool off the lathe first. Note the rubber bushings that enable it to float, which you will see in use later. Very, very clever. Enables it to self-center. Oops. Okay, so there's our tool. we undo the turning. Do that. And then that's free to come out. A little bit. That comes that one. Put this back in. This is how we adjust the depth later on. Okay, so we've got the right calibre bit in there. This has got to come out because we've got to change cutter. Okay, so we're taking this cutter out here. Loosen that slightly. Loosen that slightly. Okay, loosen this one just enough, and out pops your assembly. You simply replace that cutter with the appropriate one. Nip that out. I have cutters for 40 for Ackley Improved, 35, 30, 28, etc. Okay. Out pops that. In goes the new one. None of this needs to be tight. Not tight, you know, massively tight. That goes down there. Do this up so that it's square. Gently does it. Just kiss that up, and then you'll find that this slides very slowly up and down. No backlash, no wobble. These don't need to be undone each time. You just have them so that they're just guiding the tool down. Finger tight. And then you get a lovely feel on the adjuster dial here, to the point where you can actually note down what number you cut, you know, 12.750 thou on a certain type of brass. You know that that's 8 on the dial or 8.1, and then you can repeat it. It's very smooth. So we'll get this out of the way, nice and high. We'll remount it back in our lathe. You can see that the lathe has got 2 mounting holes, one where this goes in and the other has got these bushings on that you'll see in action later. So let's get that started. There's our Allen key. Okay, and you can see on the side here that you can adjust the angle that you have the tool at. It makes no difference, it's entirely just, you know, for your visibility of the cutter or the top, whatever you want. So I have it at about that angle. Do that up so that it is able to move but still nice and firm. Okay, now we need to look at that end where this beautifully made case holder is swapped for the larger one because we're using the 308 case size, not the smaller one. Note the O-ring in here does up hand tight, secures the case no problem, and does no damage. You don't have to screw it on really tight because of that O-ring. You just nip it up by hand. That is beautifully made, he says, dropping it in a puddle. Okay, so let's swap that over. Off of here. And you'll see here how the system floats. It's very smart. Okay, so take this off. And you'll see that there's a teardrop in the middle. Off comes the shaft. On we go to this one. Get the threads lined up correctly. And then that enables it to float slightly when it's done up. Okay, so we do this up. Note the movement available to the device. Up we go. And you can see that whilst holding it, it's still able to articulate. That combined with the movement in here means that the whole thing can just gently center itself. See, that's tight, but we've still got this movement. So it can, as you twist it, combined with this bushing here, twist just right so that everything goes in straight. Doesn't make sense to me, but when you see it cut repeatable cuts to 1/10 of a thou, it's impressive. So there's your case, which we have expanded. You just turn this driver, where the screwdriver goes, by hand, hold that, nip it up, that's now tight. You see how it moves? You think, well, how on earth can that be straight? But it all works. So here is our turning manual, and the idea is that it goes along there to a point that you ascertain by moving this in and out, because there's a hard stop on the end of it. I will demonstrate that now. Okay, so as you move this in, help if I got the right Allen key. So you see that bit on the left coming in? That butts against the shoulder at the end of the case, and it can't move any further, you see. So if you want the cutter to cut, you know, the whole of the neck and into the shoulder, we obviously need to have this out to just the right position, and of course we need to adjust this so that it touches the neck. So what you do is you practice very gently on one case. When you're happy with the results, you then lock everything in and start to repeat. So warts and all, I shall show you. That looks about right, so I'll just put that there. The set screw for that is on the top, so I'll just gently nip that up as well, but not so much that I can't make fine adjustments. Obviously I need to move our dial down till we're just touching the case. Okay. A little bit of resistance there. So I'm now going to put a tiny bit of lube on the case. Just a little hint. Don't need to lube this very much because it's titanium nitride coated, so it's pretty slippery. Here is my screwdriver. Okay, line this up on there. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. So we attach the drill to the end. We're making a light cut. Nip that up. Here we go. So you can see we're not making enough of a cut. And I'll also check for depth. Okay, we're short of the shoulder as well. So, I need a couple of tiny clicks down on this to move me down a couple of tenths of a thou. And I need to move the depth out quite a bit. We're nowhere near touching the shoulder. So I shall move this adjuster out. Get the right Allen key in there. Let's try that. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to zoom you in a bit. Starting to take the high spots off the brass here, but we're not making a uniform cut that's deep enough, so it needs to go a little deeper yet, but we're getting very close. See, it's taking a lot off here now we get towards the neck shoulder junction. Okay, up we come. I can feel it taking off the high spots. Okay, so some of the neck's been touched, some of it hasn't. So you can clearly see that there are high and low spots. But, you know, to make it smart, we want to cut right down. And we also want to go into the shoulder more than we are, so I need a little bit more depth. Okay, we'll try that, and I'll go down about 3 little clicks on there, and we'll see how this one starts to look. Here we go. Yeah, we're taking brass off here, and alarmingly, there's more to take off as you get near to the shoulder. So you can see that you're not shooting, you're not putting the bullet in a tube, an even tube, you're putting it in a cone. And that's why neck turning, in my opinion, is so important. Now we're getting to the neck shoulder junction, taking it real steady here, there's no hurry. You can see the brass coming off the cutter. Pushing just a little bit harder now. You can see that the angle is just right for it to go up the shoulder without cutting into the shoulder and dangerously weakening the brass. We're just starting to cut that shoulder, get that excess off and clean up any brass flow. Now I've got no resistance at all, the job is done. So back it out ever so slightly. Okay, so what we've got here, I'm just going to take this off. What we've got here is a neck that has been uniformed right down through the carbon. The whole of the brass all the way around has been kissed, apart from these tiny little bits here which are low spots. Cosmetically I could go another notch down on here, another tenth of a thou, and take them off, but essentially we're starting to get there, aren't we? And just as you get to the shoulder here, you can see that we've just gone up into the shoulder where the brass has flowed, and at just the right angle, without cutting into it, we scraped off the excess. You can see there's a low spot. So what I would do now is I would move the adjuster down a minute little notch so that everything is clean and even. Tiny bit. I'm happy with the amount that we're taking out of the shoulder. You don't want to go much more than that, so I'll leave that set as it is. Let's take a bit more of a cut to get enough off that we can uniform it. Here we go. Okay, now we've got no carbon left on, so we've taken a slightly more aggressive cut. There might be a low spot left there, so we're getting down toward the least amount of brass I could have taken off to uniform the bounce that was in it, the oval that was in it instead of the circle. The tube. So obviously if your high spot is 13 thou and your low spot is 12, you've got to take a certain amount off to get down to a uniform amount, which is what we're moving toward now. So when you're happy that you're taking enough off to uniform the oval, or you have a specific measurement that you wanted to get to, 11th thou or whatever your neck requires, you can then having spent that extra time on the first one, you can then crack on and do the others exactly the same. So I'm happy with this one on the right. You can see the difference in the sharpness of the angle of the shoulder there. How lost in sort of bulge this is here compared to that nice sharp angle there. And you know that inside there is a perfect tube as opposed to a cone. So we've done that one. We're happy with our measurements, whatever they may be. Pop this back on here, give that a nip, and here we go. This is an all-in-one cut, whereas the other we obviously did in stages. Let's get that out of the way. That's nothing to do with anything, that's for putting it onto a standard hex driver. Okay, so here we go. Quite a big cut I'm doing on these. Now we're getting to the shoulder. The angle of the cutter is just right to go up to the shoulder. I'm sure you could do this quicker, but I like to do it slow and steady. Your next one. Nice and quick and easy to do. I'll do a third one. when I did these on my 7mm, they were all the same, easily to a fifth of a thou. Couldn't believe it. Okay. Sometimes you could see the neck turning tool actually moving slightly on its bushes to make sure that concentricity is spot on. And of course, with the movement possible here, it centres itself on the turning mandrel. That up a bit. So what you have here is a high quality neck turning tool that's easy to adjust because it doesn't have a set screw and there's no backlash. There's nice tension in the shaft here that you can move it nice and reliably, but you don't have to unlock things to get it to move, which saves you time. The expanding mandrel here, the turning mandrel here is smooth and easy to adjust with your tool on the back. And I think the real, apparently it's quite easily handheld as well. The shape of it's quite ergonomic, but I'm not using it that way. I'm using it in the lathe. And what the lathe brings to the equation is the suspension of the tool here on these rubber bushings, which helps centre itself. When combined with this lovely head here, runs on these bearings here, with the O-ring inside, that enables you to so easily grab the case and feed it in. And you get repeatable results quickly and easily. Obviously you can move the arms of the lathe in and out here. All the accessories are top quality. I've got a little toolkit here of different bits and pieces for different calibers. When you buy an extra one of these, you get a little tool that enables you to mount it on a normal shaft, which is what this little nut was that came loose earlier on here. And that enables you to hold your case for other purposes, like for example annealing, which I find quite useful. So that's a classy little touch. You get spare O-rings, all very well thought out, and of course you can buy your cutters specific to the angle of the case. Now that for me is a big thing, because as I said earlier, you're then able to control brass flow rather than just turn your necks, and you also don't have to worry about cutting into the neck as you always used to, cutting into the shoulder, sorry, as you always used to, and then worry if you're going to get a case failure, which is not good. So cutting into the shoulder at the right angle reduces that risk enormously, so that's very useful. So all in all, you know, you're over $200 plus your accessories, but you buy this system, it's all you're going to need. And as a complete novice like myself, you can get your micrometer out, work out what you want to do, set it up, lock it in, and then repeat it all day. You know, I did 100 284 cases and I got bored of measuring them. You know, I think I wanted, what did I want? Let me get this right. In thou, it was 13.75. So, you know, you're down to tenths of thousandths of an inch there. And that's just what it did. Once I got it set up, it just kept repeating that. I could barely tell on my micrometer there was any difference, and my micrometer goes down to under a tenth of a thou. It's unbelievable. So, yeah, easily done, repeatable, top quality, pleasure to deal with, and thoroughly recommended by this reviewer, that's for sure. I haven't used the other systems, so you know it's not a fair assessment of what is available on the market at what price. I know that I needed a problem solved. I bought this, it solved it, the end, you know, and it's reasonably pleasant to use. I certainly haven't found it frustrating. So as far as I'm concerned, spend your money once, get it right, problem solved. Okay, there we go. Please subscribe for other reviews, more 21st century kit, the bench rest priming tool I've got, that's superb, and shooting reviews, etc, etc. Thanks very much. Bye for now.